Meet me. This is Benjamin Noah. I'm 27 years old man. Currently, I'm working as a cashier in a bank based in Chicago. Where are women trying to line? She was indeed a bitch today. I'm going to share with you guys an eye-opening event of my life that will surely shock you and you'll be surprised. But before getting into the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Very interesting and curious, real couple stories. Well, I got married to a mature and ambitious girl named Jennifer in 2020. Jennifer was working as a receptionist at the same bank where I was working as a cashier. To be honest, everything was going perfectly. All right. Initial days of our marriage life was really good. I remember we went to Turkey her honeymoon. Our physical relationship was really going good after 1 year. Exactly. In the mid-2021 January, we were blessed with a baby boy as well. I remember how I used to hesitate. My friends who used to do backbiting of their ways and used to call them the sea and ditches. I always used to praise my wife and never thought that she would do this to me. Well, revealed soon when unfortunately I met a life-turning incident. I remember it was a Saturday's night when I went to the medical store in order to buy milk powder for my baby boy. When my car struck a bus, I got so severe injuries in my head and abdominal region that I remained admitted to the hospital for about 5 months. In those 5 months, everything changed. I can't even describe how my wife used to treat me. To be honest, at the beginning, she seemed really concerned for me. Like I remember how she used to blubber for me after seeing me in such a horrible condition on the bed. She was even taking care of the medicine and other things as well. But exactly after 3 weeks, I found my wife had changed. After 3 weeks, I remember it was about 12 a.m. that night. I was literally shivering at the time as it was really cold there. I was asking my wife to pass me the blanket, but she was not considering me and her eyes was continuously on her mobile screen. I was shocked to hear some inappropriate sounds. Well, I was literally shocked to see my wife watching 18+ shorts. At that time, my wife looked at me with angriness and literally threw the blanket harshly on me. She then made me crystal clear that she could not bear her physical urge anymore. After hearing my wife's words, I was just shocked to see how someone could be so selfish and desperate. It was really an upsetting thing for me that instead of taking care of me, my wife wanted me on the bed to fulfill her desire. Even one day I noticed something really strange. I remember my wife came along with our son in order to meet me in the hospital. My wife was wearing a crimson-colored dress and was looking really adorable. But I did not understand what was the meaning of her preparation at this hour of night. I remember my wife's phone was continuously ringing. It seemed like someone was desperately waiting for her. I remember how my son was crying badly to spend time with me. But my wife literally took him out of the house harshly and rudely. My wife's activities were getting strange day by day. I tried my best to recover myself as soon as possible, but I got very disappointed that my wife literally stopped coming to visit me at the hospital. Well, by the grace of God, I got a recovery after 5 months and then shifted to the house. My wife was really not happy with my arrival at the house. As I remember, she got really shocked when the doctor asked her to take me to the house. My wife was literally asking doctors again and again about my health, was informing them about my recovery. It seemed like she did not want me to take me to the house. She was really very nervous about my discharge from the hospital. Well, things are really noticeable that time when I shifted my house after getting discharged from the hospital. Once it was about 1 a.m. of the night, I was sleeping peacefully on the bed, when I heard the sound like someone was parking a car in our garage. I wanted to see the garage. But that time I was really not able to stand properly because of my injuries. When I moved and looked around, I did not find my wife on the bed. I thought that my wife must be in our son's room. So I ignored and slept. But when my eyes opened again at night, at about 3 Amy found my wife coming into the room. I was shocked to see my wife's wearing hot and revealing lingerie. I did not understand her purpose of wearing such a dress at this dark hour of night. But I asked her what she was doing at this dark hour of night and asked her the reason for wearing the lingerie. My wife became a fish out of water and then cunningly replied to me that she was destroying the lingerie that she had just ordered. I remember my wife began to lie to me lovingly that she had ordered that lingerie for me, as according to her, she was waiting for my recovery to surprise me by wearing this lingerie. I used to trust my wife a lot that I never considered these old red flags, but things were getting complicated. Day by day, one day I noticed something that will definitely make you highly August. I remember it was our wedding anniversary. In spite of being ill on the bed, I remember everything. In fact, I was very excited to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But unfortunately, I was still in the bed. I was not even able to stand properly and obviously wasn't able to go to the shop in order to buy a gift for my wife. So I ordered some dresses and snacks for my wife. I was expecting the same spirit from my wife. But I was highly disappointed that my wife did not even remember our wedding anniversary. And our wedding anniversary night, I was shocked to see my wife in a video call where she was completely naked. I pretended to be asleep and tried my best to see the person to whom my wife was on a video call. But all in vain. The very next morning when my wife was getting ready for the bank, I asked her clearly to whom she was talking last night. My wife looked at me furiously and then said to me that I was acting ill. I really got disappointed by my wife's words, who said to me that I was acting out of being not fine as according to my wife. I just wanted to spend time on the time. After hearing her words, I became more brave and steadfast than before and tried my best to get maximum recovery. Well, within 1 month, I got almost unrecovered, but still I wasn't able to walk very properly soon. I joined the bank again and started my previous routine. I noticed that everything had changed. Like I remember before, me and my wife used to go for lunch regularly outside on our lunch break. But at this time, my wife refused me and started going along with her fence, which I had never seen. She really played with my emotions. I remember how once my wife made fun of my manhole when I wasn't able to fulfill her physical desires properly. My wife must know that I got a slight recovery from serious car accident. She must not force me to do these things. One day she behaved so rudely and even humiliated me harshly because I did not satisfy her properly in the bed. The way she overreacted was beyond my understanding before my accident. Me and my wife used to leave the bank for our house together. But everything changed since I met that life-threatening accident. I remember my wife started leaving house early than me. But it was indeed a shocking thing that whenever I used to reach house, my wife wasn't present at the house in spite of leaving before than me. Whenever I asked her where she was wandering, my wife's answers were different all the time. But her common answer was that she was with her friend at the bakery and was helping her in baking cakes. A rational and physical relationship got fully affected by my accident. As my wife used to ignore me all the time and always used to be busy and screaming. I remember I caught her on mobile phone even at late nights, but I have never considered it. But one day I watched something that provoked me to notice my wife's activities. It was a Sunday's morning and it was after 10 a.m. My wife was sleeping peacefully. I woke up in order to set up my wardrobe after the cold shower and drinking a cup of coffee. I started doing my cupboard things. I was just immersed in setting. Meanwhile, I caught sight of the bin. I was shocked to see some inappropriate wrappers inside the bin. I had not even used those packets at all. I got furious and asked my wife about the packets. I remember after hearing about these packets, my wife became like a fish out of water and began to lie. One of her friends cunningly put the wrappers inside my wife's bag. And when she got those wrappers, she just randomly threw them inside the bin. My wife was literally sweating badly. That time it was all clear that she was just speaking to lie with me. I decided to chase my wife as things were getting complicated day by day. The next day, as usual, me and my wife went to the bank for work. As soon as my wife left the bank for lunch by telling me that she was going to have lunch along with her friends, I started following her. I followed her silently and steadily. I was literally shocked to see that someone's car was already parked a few minutes away from our bank. In order to pick up my wife, I took some patience and kept following both of them. I was shocked to see that car parked outside of the hospital. I even kept following them inside the hospital. I remember they both were cuddling and then entered the pregnancy department. I remember my wife's affair partner was continuously touching my wife's womb. It was all clear that she's pregnant. Well, I started making her video. I wanted to see that person to whom she was dating, but all in vain at that start after a while, and that person looked behind. I was shocked to see that person. That person was actually used to work as a manager in our bank. 1 year ago, I was literally shocked to realize that my wife was dating him. He even once visited me at the hospital when I admitted. I remember that person was already married and was living alone with her father-in-law, who was a rich and influential man, while I took all the photos and decided to express everything to his wife. As soon as they both went out of the hospital, I decided to investigate more, but the doctors were not revealing anything. Finally, I gave some money to the greedy nurse who told me that my wife is pregnant and used to come along twice in a week for the checkup. I got more furious and decided to reveal everything to my wife's of her partner's wife. I went to his house. But on reaching, I came to know that my wife's of her partner's wife and her father were out of the town on reaching back from his house. I remember my eyes were literally filled with tears and our son's thoughts were continuously popping up in my mind. The way she ditched me was literally unforgettable and unforgivable. I really did not know at that time how I would face such a endeavor. Well, when she reached the house, instead of reacting and creating panic, I decided to gather further proof. The same night when my wife was hitting the sack, I cunningly took her mobile phone, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to enter the password, while somehow I succeeded in opening her mobile phone. I was literally shocked to realize after reading my wife's conversation with her affair partner that she was sharing her bed with him from the next week since I met with the accident. I got more hurt after reading that they were saying to her affair partner that I could not fulfill her desire physically, blah, blah. That time, I just wanted to kill my wife. But I kept tolerance as I was waiting for the right time. After about 1 week, when my wife's boyfriend's wife reached Chicago, I went to his house and showed everything to her. At first, she was denying the reality and was calling that pictures fake. Later, she discussed everything with her father, who made her crystal clear that if she would find his daughter's husband cheating and blowing his money, he'll definitely ruin his life, because my wife's affair partner was totally dependent on her wife's father. Today was indeed the most life-turning day of my life as I divorced my wife. I remember she cunningly entered the house and behaved normally like nothing happened. But then I exposed everything she begged, but all in vain. I just hate her. You know what her affair partner did to her. When my wife's affair partner was caught red-handed along with my wife in the bed naked in the hotel room by his wife, he lied and called my wife a slut. Her father told his wife that my wife is actually slut who was blackmailing him and